we as men, we have this thing where we have to keep our promise and be accountable for our actions no matter how we fucking feel, which is why I think most therapy doesn't work for men. This is like funny, but not funny.
Apologize for being late. My wife just died. We've got a lot on the agenda today, so let's begin. Yes, Matthew?
Hey, I'm so sorry. I mean, your wife.
Yeah, well, as you might expect, the pain's unlike anything I've ever experienced before, but got a lot to do today, so let's keep moving, okay? Maura?
I'm so sorry to hear that, sir. Jane was a really wonderful.
Yes, I can confirm that, but Maura, I actually made a pledge to the President and to the people of the United States to keep the nation informed as to the activities of its leader.
Do you need anyone to talk to or someone to help you with anything?
People, this subject is not on the agenda today. Believe me, there's nothing I'd like more than to drop down behind this podium and weep. I can't do this. Why? Because I'm a grown man, I've got a job to do, and so do you.
It's funny, right?
Not real, is it?
Huh?
Is this real?
No. But here's the thing, though. Hold on. Time out. Tristan asked this, is this real? Because this is kind of what it's like being a man. It's
plausible,
This is the
sure.
thing that ladies, because it's a plausible thing. There's this thing that ladies are like a lot of times. It's not just ladies. It's some people who, we have the ability and the luxury of like drinking mimosas and thinking about our feelings, watching our favorite TV show and going to therapy because there are men like that no matter how they feel, they have to go they have to walk their beat as a police officer, or they're willing to go storm Normandy Beach, or they're willing to stay up all night to make sure the construction is done for the bridge or the skyscraper or whatever is happening, or people who keep the lights and the electricity and the water running. Those people, when their wife dies, they still have to fucking go to work. I think it's hard to explain. One thing happened when my dad died. I was 29 years old, and I called Major Robinson, who was my flight commander, and I said, Major Robinson, I got a flight in 2 days, whatever. I'll still do the flight, and then I'm going to go home for the funeral. And he had to stop me, and he was like, because this is a regulation in the military, and he goes, Sartain, you're not going to fucking fly. Like, your dad just died. We're not going to let you fucking fly. It was crazy. He didn't say it like that, but it was one of these situations where it was like, in my mind, because I am around men who are like this, the idea of me missing a flight, and by the way, I deployed right after my dad's funeral to the Middle East. The idea of missing that because something bad happened. There's a great movie you guys should check out. It's called The Covenant. It's Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, and it stars Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's terrific because because the two main characters, one of them saves one of them's life, and the other one saves the other one's life, but there's no affection between the two of them at all. They never shake hands or come into physical contact hardly at all during the entire movie. And when you come to realize that we as men, we have this thing where we have to keep our promise and be accountable for our actions no matter how we fucking feel, which is why I think most therapy doesn't work for men, because therapy has to always keep in mind that I have to pay the bills, and it's like I'm having a hard time dealing with what my wife's doing, and I'm having some internal emotions, but someone's broken into my house and I don't feel like getting the shotgun. No.
That's what friends are for.
I always have to get the shotgun.
Friends with shotguns, yes.
I have a question.
My question is, and I don't exactly know how to phrase it. So I've heard many men say that, they're more attracted to mothers. Do you think that, because as a mother, I feel the same way. Before I had a child, I didn't feel that way. I did whatever the fuck I wanted, when I wanted, how I wanted. But now I have a child, like, no matter what, I have to be, and she's getting older. She's almost 6. So she's recognizing and repeating behaviors and seeing, like, she can read the room with what mom's going through, what I've got going on. So I have to compartmentalize a lot of things no matter what. Ever since the day she was born, I have to get up. I feel like mothers have similar outlooks on life where you got to get up and get it done. Like, you have to.
Yes.
And you have to mask some of the emotions and things like that to protect your child and their emotions and their reaction. Do you feel like that could be possibly why some men are more attracted to mothers? Because there's a sense of responsibility there.
You're talking about single mothers? You're talking about attracted single mothers or women who are motherly? What are you talking about here?
I think,
or the mother fetish, because there's that too.
That's actually where I was going with this. That's where I was going with this.
I think mothers in general. I don't necessarily mean, I guess single mothers, because you're not going to date somebody that's.
No, are you talking
in a
about motherly
relationship.
characteristics or women who have
legitimate,
already have children?
children.
I don't think they necessarily
I haven't seen any data showing that men are more attracted to women who already have kids. nowadays.
I don't know if that's like some big majority thing.
Yeah.
It's just something I've heard often, and I'm like, oh, that's.
I could definitely see going out with a woman and seeing that she's good to her son and that being a positive. I don't know if it makes you more sexually attracted to her, but I definitely can see. Well, okay, this woman's probably not a psychopath. She's willing to do anything to protect her child. That's actually admirable.
I'm just wondering because the characteristics you say that I mean the thought process that men have.
Well, what I'm saying is
similar
there seems to be. Well, the point I'm just trying to make is there seems to be this pull for men to express themselves emotionally, to become more vulnerable, but to do it in the way that women do it, more like a feminine way.
Yeah.
And my point is, we don't even have this discussion except for the fact that a society was built with air conditioners, skyscrapers, fucking cars, dishwashers. This whole society was created by men who actually needed to repress their feelings so that the job would get done. What I'm saying is we're privileged by those men. The guy you just saw here, my wife just died, but I still have a job to do, and so do you. Those men are the reason why we have the privilege of even having the conversation that we're having right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that also has to do with academia too, because like just being in psychology, it's mostly women.
Yeah.
And you kind of see that like most therapy is designed to treat women, and they don't. It's like offensive to say that you need to treat men and women differently because the treatment would be different. So you said this on a podcast, I think last week. It was like, like I'm fine with a therapist. She needs to understand though, like the bill needs to get paid, or like the kids need to take care of.
Men need strength coaches.
For sure. It's like whatever you're doing for women, that's fine. But with men, you must always remember we have a burden of performance.
Right.
A lot of women have a burden of performance too. Like she said, as a mother, that burden of performance makes sure her child is taken care of.
For sure.
A woman who's a squadron commander, a woman who's a female pilot, they have a burden of performance. A lot of women don't have the same burden of performance as a man does, but all men have a burden of performance. Our value with regards to the opposite sex or with regards to people who want to work with us, work for us, or our respectability comes from our burden of performance because we don't have big boobies. Okay? So whereas some women have a burden of performance, all men have a burden of performance.
Mike, a gynomastia was.
Yes, we don't have a.
But for you to have that, you'd have to acknowledge that men and women are different.
Correct.
And that is the problem.
And
that's offensive to a lot of people.
Well, I mean, that was like the basis of the discussion we had last week, which was like, oh, men need to go to therapy more.
Yeah,
we don't.
He's not talking about you guys, you ladies. Tristan's not talking about you guys. He's talking about the psychological, the academicians that are hyper liberal and woke.
I was gonna say, now look, if you're having like anxiety issues at home, like, and I think people overuse the word I'm anxious, I have anxiety, right? But if you're really having like breakdowns and you're crying and something's going on, yes, go see a therapist.
Yes, but here's the reason why you have to go see a therapist, because your anxiety is breaking your performance.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So because you can't perform, for sure, I have friends that have suffered from PTSD. Those people do need to go to therapy. But the reason why they need to go to therapy is because they're broken living on the street because they could not meet their burden of performance.
Right. Yes.
The number of homeless men versus homeless women, it is huge, the number of homeless men versus homeless women.
That's why we have like athletic psychologists. Like, so if you're like, if somebody's in your head or whatever, you are like not in the right place mentally, and you can't like perform as far as, you know, your sports or athletics or whatever else that is. There's literally a branch of psychology for sports, for
sports psychologists.
Yeah. So like 90% of these men do not need therapy. Stop letting your girlfriend tell you you need a therapist.
Hear that, Jesse?
Okay.
Press?
So to you guys, you know what you need instead of a therapist? You need a performance coach. Go watch Billions. You remember Bobby Axelrod had Wendy Rhodes in there, and Wendy Rhodes was not interested in like your psychological health. You needed to perform. You'd be shocked how good your mental energy will be and how much your brain will reward you when you kill the fucking meat and protect the fucking tribe. You will be shocked at how happy you are and how wonderful your life is, and also how many more women look at you and are attracted to you when you kill the fucking meat and you protect the fucking tribe. You will be shocked at how all of a sudden that's therapy. A guy is like, I'm lonely, but all of a sudden he has sex with a beautiful woman and he has a beautiful girlfriend. All of a sudden he didn't need therapy. He didn't need any fucking therapy, did he? He just had sex with a beautiful woman. He needs some intimacy. And all of a sudden, all that shit is gone.
Now his head's in the right
Isn't
space.
it weird how that worked? It's like objective reality changed. It got better for him because he accomplished a goal. And then all of a sudden, he doesn't need fucking therapy anymore. Isn't it weird how that works?